there's just no way to harvest them. I don't know anybody in South Carolina has, and especially not South Carolina agriculture, seen devastation like this. These peanuts were dug right before the flood and should have been harvested the week following the flood. But by the time the ground dried out enough and the actual vine dried out enough to combine it, there was no quality left at all. And there's going to be a lot of people who've been in this thing a long time, a lot longer than I have, that might not be here in the future.
Caused us to lose over half our cotton crop. It damaged our soybeans, and it limited us from being able to plant wheat back the way we really intended to. Then the rain didn't stop when we needed to harvest those, so it was just a all-out terrible weather event for 2015. You had a wet spring, a dry summer, and a wet fall. I don't know if you could have a worse scenario.
I assure you, my farm has done everything in our power to run a business that continually looks in the future and stays conscious of changing commodity prices and input costs. We have aligned ourselves with good business advisors and tried to do things the right way. But following the flood of 2015, there's still a lot of uncertainty regarding my future as a farmer in the state of South Carolina. Coming into 2015, we were faced with lower prices and higher inputs, so we knew our margins were slim. It was too wet early in the spring to get our crops planted, too dry in the summer to make a corn crop. Then the flood wiped out all of my cotton, most of my peanuts, and damaged my soybeans, which I'm still trying to find a home for today. The ground in our fields is so wet, most of it is impossible to work, so I did not get any of my 2016 wheat crop planted. A farmer is someone you need 3 times a day, every day. And right now, the farmers of this state need some help from our governor.
Our farm is facing significant loss this year due to the drought and then the flood, and we're having to get extremely creative in figuring out what our next step is. We are fortunate because we are not facing the possibility of completely losing the farm like so many others across the state. There are many people who are here today that can tell you more about extreme cases of crop loss and the shortcomings of crop insurance that have left our agriculture in limbo. However, I'd like to take a minute to talk with you about the trickle-down effect of these disasters. My situation is unique in that not only do we farm, but my family and I also own an ag transportation and brokerage company.
The flood was only the beginning of troubles for farmers in South Carolina. Right now, there are still thousands in agriculture unable to reach their crops because of flooded fields and equipment. And the crop that is there is a total loss for about 15,000 farmers in the state. Farmers from all across the Palmetto State making their voices heard Monday on the State House floor. They're begging Governor Nikki Haley to write a letter to the federal delegation urging for specific agricultural funding for farmers affected by flooding. South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation President Harry Ott says out of the 25,000 farmers in the state, about 80% of them were hurt by 40 days of historic rainfall. 60% of them, he says, were devastated.
Well, there is new hope for a big package of flood relief for farmers. The House has almost unanimously voted to override the governor's veto.
Monday and Charles, the House wanted to show farmers an overwhelming sign of support, and with a nearly unanimous vote, only 2 people voting no, they got it. Representative after representative stood in line waiting their turn to take the floor speaking their support for farmers. And they argued that farming is more than an industry, it's the state's backbone.
To be honest, I kind of got a little bit emotional listening, and realizing that our government officials recognize how important agriculture is in this state and really are stepping up to the plate and have our backs.